Would you throw some light on the various stages of enlightenment?
Basically, in this process of enlightenment, the first thing which most often happens is the flowering of the heart. That is, you for the first time discover real compassion, real love for other human beings. And then as this becomes deeper, you lose the sense of separateness. Even at this point, we really do not call you fully enlightened. We call you fully enlightened only when you are experiencing reality as it is. But to experience reality as it is, these are some kind of prerequisites. Only then it happens in a big way. So these may be called stages of enlightenment.
Is enlightenment synonymous to oneness?
That is equivalent to oneness. But of course, oneness itself takes off from there, and then it finally becomes oneness with God, or oneness with cosmic consciousness. It is the ultimate oneness.
Is each person's enlightenment absolutely unique?
Is absolutely unique. It depends upon his background, his conditioning, what happened in his childhood, his own seeking, his religious conditioning. So all these things are involved.
How do you give enlightenment? How is it possible to give it to another?
Yes. Basically, it is what we call the process of diksha. And this diksha is some kind of electrical energy which translates into some kind of a hole in the mind of man. We believe that the mind of man is like a wall which divides man from God. The diksha, though it is some kind of electrical energy, it does make a hole in this wall which we call the mind. Once that happens, a man and God come to relate to each other. And the way they would relate depends upon his background, his conditioning, his aspirations in life, his education. So many factors are involved. And then thereafter it is God who gives enlightenment. Whether we call it God or cosmic consciousness or nature, call it what you want. So that takes over.
Is this something for which you have been preparing for a long time?
Yes, my whole life has been some kind of preparation for this ever since I was a child. My only concern was how to liberate man from his suffering. These were not things which I arrived at through my own life experience, because I myself was a child. Rather, I was forced to be concerned about man's suffering and to work for that. That is why I am an avatar, because I never arrived at these conclusions. I was just made to do these things by a higher energy, by a higher force, which we call the divine energies or God. That's why I am an avatar. So ever since I've been a child, I've been made to do certain practices. No human made me do these things, but I was made to do these things by higher energies. So I've been doing all that for many years. So that has given me the ability to directly, I myself do not give diksha. I make others give diksha. So I'm more like a powerhouse, and the others are like a step-down transformers who receive the energy and then pass it on to people. Yeah. So my function is to remain as a powerhouse for some time. That's how diksha is given and how enlightenment or God realization occurs.
Does the diksha process affect the brain?
Yes, when we give diksha, it's more like passing on some kind of electrical energies, which do affect the brain and the spinal column and what we call the ductless glands or the chakras. So most often the work is being done on the frontal lobes and the parietal lobes of the brain, where there's more activation of the frontal lobes and some kind of deactivation of the parietal lobes, plus certain energies are being sent into the ductless glands and reactivating the ductless glands, which go by the name of chakras. So all this in turn produces what we call the hole in the mind, and a link is established between man and God. Thereafter what happens is God's work. When we make the hole in the wall, it's God who takes over, and then He works on your senses. He liberates the senses from the mind, from the clutches of the mind. When that happens, you lose yourself. That part of the work is done by God Himself, because He being the creator, it needs a complete reorientation of the brain, and He takes over.
What is your view of the various faiths of the world?
I believe that different religions are required to handle the different needs of the people. I have seen people sometimes require a particular religion to handle a particular problem, or because his background needs the inputs of a particular religion. And I personally have never had any difficulty with people of any faith, because the Diksha is some kind of a neutral thing, and the Diksha only activates certain areas of the brain or deactivates, and the person discovers what his religion has taught him. So he discovers the truths of his own faith, because what I do or teach is not a new faith, is not a new religion, is not anything new at all. It merely helps you to discover what you have been seeking all these years. So I personally have no conflict with the people of any faith.
Apart from the gift of enlightenment you offer, we also see the same kind of miracles and healings that happened around Jesus happening again right now. Please say something about it.
Yes, I would say that this is the continuation of the work which Christ left behind. So this should have happened, in fact, 2000 years ago, this transformation of man, but for some reasons it got aborted. So now the same thing has come back. So in the Dikshas, people would be getting in touch with Christ consciousness, especially in the West. They would be discovering that same consciousness which Christ was trying to give them. So it's no different from that. In fact, I would say that would be true Christianity, as Christ intended it to be.